Now look at the Mother Earth. She is the one who produces all kinds of beautiful flowers of different fragrance, of different nature, color, heights. The trees are different. Trees, when they grow up, they grow in such a manner that every leaf of that tree gets the sun. Look at the collective sense which is given to us by this Mother Earth. We have never realized that this Mother Earth, which is giving us everything that we want, and the sun helps the Mother Earth, cooperates, coordinates with it. To go further with it, you have seen a picture where a Kundalini is coming out of the Mother Earth and half of it is seen. So, what does this Kundalini do for us? Or what does this Mother Earth does for us? The Kundalini leaves the Mother Earth as a reflection. And what does she do within us to build us up? In which way? So it is the primordial power which is coming out of the Mother Earth. Mother Earth itself acts like a mother. She looks after you, she gives you whatever you want. And another miracle thing is that the highest tree is a coconut tree. And the coconut will never fall on any creature or any human being. That means it's all thinking, all understanding, all consciousness, all awareness is coming from the Mother Earth. But we never understand it. As it is, we take for granted. Now what does she do for us human beings? She is the primordial power. What she does is to build in us a primordial, you can call restrictions, or primordial taboos, or primordial dharmas. For example, you see the steel is here. It has its own dharma. It cannot behave like wood. Wood has its own dharma. It cannot behave like silver. They all have their dharma and they are bound in that dharma. But what I felt is that animals, creepers, those who creep on them, other people also, every type of animal, the whole of biology I studied, I was amazed that every type of animal has the same sample of behavior. For example, you can put the dog in the water, he'll swim, but the cat may not. See, it's a thing that is built in the dharma, what I call it, the primordial taboos. We have in the same way primordial taboos built within us which are dharma. A human being has to be like that. If he tries to be something else, something goes wrong with his life. It's like, say, if you have glass, you drop it on the ground, it will break. That is the dharma. In the same way, when human beings start deviating from the line of dharma, they get into trouble. But it's only human beings who can do that. They can only cross over these taboos, these primordial taboos, and can become horrible. You see, person, sometimes I wonder what's wrong with him. He has a nice home, very good wife, everything. Then he has a keep. What is the need? For man, it is primordial that he should have only one wife and one husband. It's a taboo. As soon as you deviate from that, something goes wrong. Now, who punishes or who corrects or who destroys is this primordial power which we call as Param Chaitanya. If you can understand that it's a structure, say this is the structure of this hanger, now you want to break it, you can break it because you are human beings, but it will be broken. As simple as that. We have to understand we are human beings and we cannot do things which go against our dharma. Now, why the dharma? Dharma has to be there for our ascent. Now, man, in his intelligence and his progressiveness, thinks that anything he does, what's wrong? Especially in the West, this is very common. But I must say for the Aboriginal people, or people who are, I don't know I should call Indians Aboriginal or not, but those people who were made aware of their primordial taboo somehow. As the animals know what is bad for them. And that knowledge was there with Aboriginals. Today we are here with Australians. And in Australia, Aboriginals are so many, I was surprised most of their words were Sanskrit. So might be they might have got it from India, or maybe they have gone there from India. So many words they have got which are Sanskrit. So, I started thinking about them. Normally, Aboriginals, say in India we have Aboriginals. We call them Goon, Kurku, Bhil. But I also had a habit of going to the jungles where I used to meet them. And I was surprised. They would not drink. This I'm telling you about 60 years back, maybe more. They would not drink. Very lajjashil means shame of everything. Matter of sort of prestige for them was important. They would never steal anything. And I was really very impressed how these people were so dharmic, so good and happy. They lived in huts, they didn't mind. But they were very clean and neat people. It is now changed. The same people are changed so much. They were like sacred people, I think. Holy people. They worship Mother. They worship Mother Earth. Nothing else. And I asked this lady, why do you worship Mother Earth? She said she gives us everything. She is a just mother. We live in the jungles. She looks after us. And she is the most conscious person. He knows that we are there and she has to look after us. Even to take out some leaves from the trees, they used to think about. But then the missionaries came, they converted them, they gave them skirts and blouses, I don't know what all they did. But Gahinabai did not. She said, what is this? Why should I wear a dress like this where the whole body is exposed? No, I'll wear a sari. I can never go. Why should I wear this kind of a useless dress? But when they met with this so-called advanced people, so many of them started living like that. They said, you have no freedom. You are just bound by something, But actually, they were bound by the sacredness, by the divine understanding. And then they started changing. She was all right, her husband was all right, but her son started drinking. This is the beginning of the end. Then gambling. And all other sorts of things he started. And her grandson started going to prostitutes. And the idea was only that we are free. What's wrong? So respect for the Mother Earth and for nature is built in within us. It's part and parcel. We are part and parcel of this whole, we can call it a whole universe. But when you get into this nonsensical idea of freedom, then you are leaving your Mother Earth. Your gravity itself reduces. This Mother Earth has to teach us. While we are plundering, now there's everything, ecology, people are trying. Whatever is outside is also inside. If you want to exploit your mother inside, or if you want to trouble your mother inside, you can also trouble this Mother Earth. Now what has replaced our understanding is very simple, is that we are paying more attention to money. If you can cut a tree, say, to get money, then it is hurting the mother. But if you are cutting a tree for beautifying her, then she is happy. Her discretion is so great. See the way she produces flowers. Different types of flowers. In different countries, different types of flowers. Like me, I saw in my country that flowers are extremely fragrant, very fragrant. And she understands so much. Once I went to Australia, and this flower we call hibiscus. It's a red flower which becomes pink and then red. Imagine it becomes first pink and then gradually it becomes red. Even the sunflower goes on turning its face with the sun. Now how can you say there is no connection between a sunflower and the sun? Automatically it goes on changing. So, intelligence of Mother Earth I have seen from my childhood. It's such a beautiful thing to know the nature and the Mother Earth. That's why all the saints, in India especially, used to go and live in the forest. Only in the forest you could see clearly how this primordial bondage was absolutely obeyed, naturally